Paverpol, what is it and how can we use it in needle felting? Hey, it's Pam from Ben McFuzzylugs. You might know me from such videos as honest reviews on core wool and glass eyes. So this is our regular Wednesday review section for supplies and equipment for needle felting. If you're interested in videos like this, please don't forget to hit subscribe down below and come back every Wednesday. Also, if you come back tomorrow for my needle felting tutorial, I might have a little surprise opportunity for some of you guys if you're needle felters. So remember and come back tomorrow. So Paverpol, whatever it's called, what is this and how can we use it in needle felting? So I first heard about this product about 15 years ago at the SECC in the Hobbycraft and Crafts for Christmas show there, and they had a wonderful stand that displayed their work beautifully, and at the time they were calling this fabric hardener, and they were using it to like dip pieces of fabric into big vats of this, dipping pieces of fabric into it, and when they're bringing it out, just draping it into lots of different shapes and designs, and then it hardened in those wonderful designs, and they were making beautiful sort of floating like abstract sculptures, and it looked amazing. And so I got some, and I could not get it to work very well at all. I tried and tried and tried, and I could never get anything that looked very good whatsoever. So I'd almost given up on it, and then when I got the glass eyes off of Amazon with the short wire stubs in them, and I could no longer attach eyes like I used to do, pulling them through and bending the back so they're secured that way. So what I did, I'd got some Paverpol in the house, and I thought I'd give it a go at just gluing them into the back of the head. I'd always been totally against using glue in my sculptures because I worried it was going to like show up and have like crusty bits around the eyes, which would not be cool. But I had a go, and what I did was just, as you'll see in the video, I just got a wee drop of the glue up on the rim of the bottle, scraped the shaft of the metal of the eye onto this to pick up a small amount of glue, and I poked a hole into the head so that the eyes could go through without any faffing about, because it can be, once you've felted fairly firmly, it can be difficult. So poke, all in the same place so you make a tunnel, and I shoved it in, and I thought I'd just wait and see how it was doing, and left it for a couple of days to fully dry. And what I discovered when I tried to pull it out, they're totally fixed in place. So I'm really totally happy with that as a method for applying the eyes. There was no sign of it anywhere, but they seem pretty firmly fixed in place. I am sure possibly if I got some pliers I could maybe force it out, but no one should be treating your needle felted sculptures like this. So I'm happy. Not child safe, I'm not going to call it child safe, but safe enough for a sculpture that's supposed to be on display, that's not supposed to be being chewed up or pulled about or roughly treated. So definitely I'll recommend it for that. And I had a go for my dragon, which is going to be tomorrow's tutorial, making his talons. As you'll see, a couple of weeks ago I had a total fail trying to use air dried clay, but I wanted harder than just needle felted talons. I wanted them a little bit wicked looking, and so I had a go experimenting. Basically I made lots of different types of talons and just practiced before I tried it on my dragon, obviously. And what I did with that, first of all, I fairly firmly felted a talon and tried dipping it into the Paverpol and trying to manipulate it with my fingers. As you can see, it kind of works, but it becomes very sticky, so fibres were coming away in my fingers as I was trying to do this, which got a little bit annoying. I had also tried very loosely felting a piece of fleece and dipping it in and trying to shape it like that, and that was terrible. That was reminiscent of how I used to use Paverpol in the past, which was a disaster. It just, fibres everywhere, it just wasn't firming up. There was no way I was getting it into the shape. And then the third method was again fairly firmly felting and just dipping it into the Paverpol, wiping off the excess on the side, and actually this gave a pretty good method. This turned out pretty nicely. Firm. There's still a little bit of a rough texture. It's not going to totally smooth it out because it just goes onto the fibres and hardens them as they are. So at best you're going to get it as smooth as you'd made it. It's not going to get any smoother, and it actually is a little bit rougher. And then I came back, once I'd had the talons dipped on the dragon, I gave it a couple of hours, and when I came back I found that it had dried enough to be actually touchable. It wasn't sticking to my fingers, and I was able to further mould the shape of the talons. So I'd totally say Paverpol is really great if you firmly felt your piece. If you dip it without too much touching it, just dip, clear off the loose edges and put it aside somewhere. I found keeping it up in the air so it's not touching anything, or you can sit it on a piece of plastic that it won't stick to. But with my dragon I was able to like put him with his paws up in the air, which worked perfectly. Let it dry for a couple of hours until it's touch dry, so it's not too tacky at all, and then you can just smooth out, of just kind of stroking your fingers over it, smooth out some of the rough edges and sculpt it a tiny bit more just to get a more pleasing shape. It is still a little bit textured, but this is a needle felted item. So you can see I've painted on it since, so that makes a difference. But there's a bit of a texture there. But overall, really pretty happy with how it turned out. And then I've just varnished over the top just to give a little bit more gloss. It goes slightly lighter once it's dry. It's very similar to your PVA glue that you got at school in the look of it, but it just seems to handle a little bit better. So I'm definitely going to say Ben McFuzzyLugs approved. So have you used Paverpol? If you want to share some of your projects with me, or is there something better? Let's face it, it is fairly expensive. I'll leave a link below, but hopefully it's going to last for a fair amount of time, and it does the job perfectly. So what glues or fabric stiffeners or anything like that do you use in your felting? Let me know, and remember, come back every Wednesday. Give me a like if you liked it, subscribe if you would like to, and I'll see you next Wednesday.